Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another edition of PHLY Union Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a preseason match. We got homegrowns getting called by the U.S. men's senior team. That's right. We're going to talk about it here today on PHLY Union Podcast. Of course, I am JP Zapata, joined as always with the lovely Renee Washington. Renee, we had some soccer. We got some more rumors. How are we doing today?
Good. I'm excited. We've got games to talk about. We're not talking about practice. We're talking about games. Finally, guys. JP, I'm excited because we are finally getting a chance to start to see what the product looks like on the pitch. Obviously, still missing pieces, but hey, it still gives us something to give an idea and a rough, starting reference point for what this season could look like. So I'm thrilled.
I don't know if you've gotten these comments. So obviously, we cover the team. So people ask me about the team, and I tell them like, "Hey, yeah, we just had preseason Sunday," and they're like, "Wait, the season's back?" I'm like, "Well, kind of."
I feel like it never ended.
Yeah, right. Like we just 2023 season, boom, 2024.
Right, pretty much. That's pretty much it. It's really a quick turnaround. You get about a full month and some change when you think about it, depending on how far teams go into the playoffs, of course. For the Union specifically, it feels like it just ended yesterday. I feel like we were just talking about that controversial loss that we're not going to talk about to FC Cincinnati. Here we are. So I do feel like just as much as we can notice the quickness, like as a player, you got to feel that physically too, where it's like, whoa, we're back already. And here we go. And you guys are back also.
Hey,
what's up, Will, Kyle, Jillian, Jose? Nice to see you guys here. It's a game day. It's right. Preseason. I feel like for all of us, it allows us like, okay, we've got things to look at, to watch. Instead of just speculating, we can actually see, some Union soccer, which is awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Look, we can boo a team. We look at some things. Get ready here for Saprissa upcoming here at the end of February. So
fast.
It's the season's gonna be here before you know it. Blink an eye. We're back and get Saprissa.
Exactly, and I'm excited that the Union also have pieces back. Of course, still missing some. Jack Glenn, Nate Harriel. And we'll talk about the U.S. men's national team and they're friendly as well, because this weekend was a lot of Union soccer, just not all on the same pitch together.
Right.
But we saw the Union well represented, whether with the U.S. men's national team or for the actual Union. So, listen, I kind of wanted to jump in first, JP, with maybe we can look back. I'm really tempted to eat these pears, though, because I know we have a lot to talk about today, guys, and it's not just the freshness on the pitch. It's the freshness of some fresh fruit.
That's right.
Ivan, will tonight's preseason game be streamed online? Unfortunately, not a video, but you can read along. So this is in itself, Ivan, thank you. This is a great starting spot. Preseason game number 1, you could watch live. The Union tweeted out the link. You were able to watch for free. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
You can't watch it back, though, because I tried. And so if you try to go back, the link no longer, it's a broken link now. But you at least were able to watch the game. Now for tonight's game, you cannot watch live. There is no video. There's actually we're back to the live blogging.
Yep.
So we're going to get live words of what's happening in the game. But it's not that fast because it's not instant.
Right.
It's a slight delay. It's not going to be every detail. And you can't see things that you want to see, like the shape of the pitch and how the formation looks and how players are covering. All you get are words. So no, Ivan, it will be live blogged.
I just would love to know the logistics. Like, what is it that we can't have every preseason stream? Like, is it a money thing? Like, can we not find sponsors? Like, I don't understand that. And I would love to understand that, because
I think about other leagues too.
I mean, like,
because you have access.
I mean, in August, you go on NFL Network, it's a rerun after rerun of a preseason game. You can sit there all day and watch preseason, but we don't have that. Even with we have our own service too. Like, it's not like, ESPN's running our broadcast anymore. We have our own app that we can just plop it right in there and people can just watch it from their app that they pay money for.
I think I'd even be okay with live video, like clips. Or maybe we're not watching the full game, but it's like dropped in with more clipped up versions. I should have recorded the game. And I'm not going to listen. This is the internet. I agree with you, Jose. We're not confirming what we did or did not do. In my mind, I just thought in the 2024 digital age that we're in, that it would still be there. But no, live blogging it is for tonight, though, guys. Live blogging? What do you call it? Live blogging? Because it can't just be logging.
Yeah, you're just literally
blogging.
It's a stream that they put on there, and it's just a bunch of words, and it gets updated every couple seconds, and you're just like literally staring at your phone. It's just, you know, it feels very like late 2000s. Like why? Like
that's
reading
the thing. In 2024,
like
I feel like there's so many other things. I'd even be okay with. Okay, so there's sometimes you can watch on TV if you don't have apps or cable, you can actually for free watch like the above the rim of NBA games, which I've done because I dropped cable for the longest time, and then I brought it back. And so I would sometimes literally watch the camera angle above the rim. There would be no play-by-play or color commentator. There'd be no. Oh, you'd get the live audio. So you even get the timeouts. You get all the live audio. It's like you're just sitting on the backboard essentially watching the game. That's pretty much the view I had. I would even take that. I would take a camera on top of the goal that does not move and just does a wide angle from each goal to watch.
Well, if any of our listeners are down in Florida, if you want me, I'm down to go down to Florida, and I may have a camera or two, guys. I'm just saying, I can provide a service.
I have a phone.
I provide iPhone.
And to Jillian's point, it does not update automatically. You're just kind of waiting. And
right.
It's almost more. It's just more frustrating.
No, I
because
agree.
we're just sitting here looking at our computer, looking at words.
Yeah, and it goes back
to this AIM.
Yeah.
Like, are we instant messaging the game? Hey, JP, this is what just happened.
But ball out of bounds. BRB.
Big LOLs everywhere.
Don't talk to me. Not in good mood. Like, is that what we're doing? We're going to be like 7.
Doesn't it give you
like 14
back
again?
in the day where we were on AIM chatting?
Yeah.
And then you post a song and you're like, I'm sad. It's like all of our going through our emo phase.
BRB. Putting up our away message.
Just turned preseason to AIM, but like it goes back to my point, Renee. It's all about the legitimacy of our league. When all the 4 other leagues make preseason accessible to the fans and we don't, it just drives me up a wall. It's preseason, you know. It's not crazy coverage that we're getting here.
I agree. And I'm okay with, we don't need to see practices. Right. We don't need to see, like, I do think there are some leagues, NFL and NBA, I'm looking at you, that we get almost too much.
Yeah,
like, we're getting them stretching. We're getting what they had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, we're getting every little detail, what they wore to practice.
We're in the fits before the game. That's like a whole thing now.
Right, exactly. At least that's a game we're talking about. We're talking about practice. So I'm fine with not getting like every practice detail of who's there, who coughed, when they blinked, how many times they blinked. But for the actual matches, like, there was a good turnout that was there.
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing. This should be open where people can go. You'll see that in spring training and in the even around OTAs and stuff, where you'll see players, they're signing autographs, they're taking pictures. It's a whole community experience. They're saving money, but you're missing out on money on the other side.
It just doesn't make sense, guys. I was reading, except it was updated last year. Oh, that's the same comment there. Yeah, it's just, at the end of the day, guys, maybe one day we'll finally get those games all broadcasted there. But no, just get into this one though, Renee. Like you said, it was Flamengo. It's one of the biggest clubs in Brazil. There was a great turnout. I love that stadium too. I'm blanking on the name, but that's where the Tampa Bay Rowdies play.
Yes.
You know, a legendary American club here in the United States, and it's a beautiful, beautiful stadium. And obviously, Tampa's that Tampa area is a huge Portuguese population, or Portuguese and Brazilian. So a lot of flamenco fans, a lot of black and red. And then in the match, obviously, you know, we missed.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about the match. We missed Carranza, we missed Gadzag, we missed Ua. So some of the big pieces were out in this game. And so you would think Flamenco would do the same thing, but Renee, we got a pretty good squad. Like Everton was out there, David Luiz was out there, like some big names that play like Copa Libertadores matches. And it's not surprising that they lost 2-0. You know, when you're starting Quinn Sullivan, we saw Hamir Beriscio get his first start here, his first action with the Philadelphia Union too. But
I think, Renee, the biggest thing, even if you didn't watch this match, I think Jim's post-game comments on the sideline there was very telling of the match in general and just the union and the situation, how we feel in 2024. Jim made the comment about Flamenco. They're out there and it's a roster that probably close to $200 million. And we're putting a roster out there around $50 million. I'm sorry. You can see the difference. You can clearly tell the difference. And it's something that, we've all been banging on Jay Sugarman's door. Like, can we just spend a little bit more money? But I think that comment was just very telling of the match and just how we feel in 2024.
Yeah. Listen, the game, beautiful weather, beautiful turnout and fans. Everybody was all into it. The post-game comments from Jim hit on a lot of different things for me that stood out. As you talk about the money on the pitch, as he made that comment that they had probably about $200 million on the field. My thought is, I don't think, Jim, that we want to hear you saying that. I mean, listen, okay, we know Daniel Gadzag and Ua not there.
Yeah.
Miko Ua not there. We know Leon Flock, Ty Baribo, Julian Carranza. There's a lot of the main names for the Union offensively still unavailable to play, whether physically not there or just physically unable to play. We get that. But as we've also talked a lot about, us as well as many people that have been covering or following the Union, is you need to spend money. That next tier of players you're bringing in this season, your young talent that's growing, you need to add more money. So to say they have about $200 million on the pitch actually says more about the Union than Flamenco, in my opinion. Because why don't you have something more, maybe not $200 million.
Yeah.
Why don't you have a more expensive roster on the pitch? It's not our fault.
Yeah.
That's on you guys, actually. You had the opportunity to do that. You had the opportunity to try to spend more money, even with your more expensive players. Again, Ua, Gadzag, Carranza, a lot of money that's spent on each of them, in the Union's eyes, at least. Okay, understandably so. That's not a lot that's on the pitch. But you still had, from Andre Blake and Jack Elliott, and you still had Kai Wagner. You still had money guys out there. So it's not our fault that the roster's built cheaply. So that comment, I was like, Jim, you could have left that part out, because I was like, that's not a positive thing, actually. Because not to mention, as we also know, and I'm gonna just start with the money piece, the rest of the MLS has a lot of money on their rosters. That's why Inter Miami is plastered all over all the preseason coverage. You're gonna get a live blog of the Union game, and we're getting a play-by-play video of everything that has to do with Inter Miami. Everything. Yep. So even the coverage changes because they have the flashier names. Everybody's more excited about Inter Miami. I've seen every update from them and FC Dallas leading into their matchup. I haven't seen a single tweet about the Union from the MLS today. And listen, I was on the Philly show earlier. I was eating lunch. I'm not going to say I was glued to the MLS Twitter page, but in my brief, quick scrolling, I saw nothing about the Union. Right. Partly because you don't have money on the pitch. Other teams do. So to say Flamenco had $200 million in the field, and again, he's just throwing out a number, but it is about that. It says less about them and more about the Union, because you're going to be playing teams, Inter Miami, LAFC, whoever else, that's going to have a lot of money on the pitch. It's not an excuse if you're not going to go on and spend money.
To the point about Jim's comments, and I agree, like, it's a little bit, it's kind of weird, like, bringing that up.
Yeah, I don't know why he did that. It's a game. Why are you talking about how much? If anything, I would rather him have said, to your point, they still played the majority. They had the majority of their better players out, and he did touch on that too. He did. Like, I was listening to what he was talking about with Sage Hurley, and I was reading the different comments. He did hit on their talent and how it's going to help the Union. But I just felt like it was unnecessary to talk about the money, because, again, what other team do you know is doing that? Who else is sitting in their post-game of anything, preseason, regular game, saying, well, they had a lot of money on the field, a lot of big, big financial names on the field, and we didn't. That's not an excuse.
Yeah, I mean,
this isn't private high school versus a public school.
Like, just analyzing the situation, yes. Like, Jim bringing that up, maybe a weird spot there. The way I kind of look at it, so obviously I kind of resonate with those comments, because I do feel like that to an extent, and I think we all kind of do to a certain extent, because the fact of the matter is, my point of view going to 2023 was, okay, if we're going to play Union ball, that's fine. But if we're not winning the MLS Cup by the end of this year, Union ball, it has to be tweaked a little bit. You need to now start spending money, because this style of spending a certain amount that's not what the rest of the league is doing making profit off of sales as well. Just Moneyball, the whole concept of Moneyball. Obviously, we know that works in other sports, but for right now, what you have done is you created an elite squad. You've created a team that consistently is competing, yes, but you're so close. Right. And common sense will tell you, well, if you just throw in a little bit more money, you can get there. So Jim has mentioned this before. This isn't the first time Jim has brought this up. He's talked about, I think the big one is against Club America in 21 in the CONCACAF Champions League semifinal. We all saw what Club America was putting out there. We all saw the type of bench that they had. Right. We all knew the type of team the Union had. And so that's a moment where Jim did bring that up. And he's brought it up a couple of times. I think if I'm like trying to just understand Jim and where he's coming from, it just may be that, like, look, Jim has been busting his hump with this team with one of the lowest payrolls in the MLS, and he's been able to get the most out of it. At a certain point, how much more can you ask from a manager to squeeze the juice out of the orange when we've been squeezing enough out of it? So I guess at this point, Jim may be just frustrated because he's been doing the most that he can with this team. And although, yes, it's a weird spot to put that comment in, he might just be frustrated now.
Yeah, and that's what I think, and that's kind of why I'm bringing it up too. So I know in the chat, Ivan, Jose, and Dan, what's up, Dan? Nice to have you here as well.
What's going on, guys?
Talking about, of course, the fact we're not going to see them spending money. And Ivan's like, I'm more saying how he's more excited for the kit release, which that also has a lot of people excited too, than the transfer market. And Jose and Dan are talking about the fact that Jim even brought up the money in the pregame conversation. To me, it is more of Jim is clearly fed up with this too in some way. Because like you mentioned, it's you're working on building a team to be a championship caliber team, but they're not investing in the team financially. So now you're forced to have to work with what you've got. And yes, that's doable as well, because you should always be developing your team and helping the young guys get to a point where they can have that confidence and talent level to be able to compete with the best. But you also have to be able to keep up with other teams. And it's not an excuse to say, oh, well, the Union don't spend money, so they're never going to win a championship. How long are we going to let that narrative go? Because that gets old very quickly. Yeah. Instead, take time to invest in the team, spend money on the team, because everybody the Union plays is going to be expensive. That's like if, that's like if a team, the Bills go up against the Chiefs and they keep losing in the playoffs every year against the Chiefs. And their reasoning is because, well, the Chiefs spend more money on guys like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Isaiah Pacheco, and we can't keep up. It's a professional league. You have to keep up.
That's why there's a salary cap.
That's why there's a salary cap. Yeah. If they're spending money, you have to spend money. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jim is frustrated too, because here we are going into another year in 2024, and yet again, the Union are still the cheap team on the block trying to compete with names. And now Flamenco comes in with their team who looks really good. And there were a lot of things I took notes on from that I saw in their play. And I was like, Union, I wish you did that. Or can you do that? I don't care who's on the pitch for the Union. They should be able to compete. And 2-0 loss is not bad. Yeah. Could have been 3. But at the end of the day, the money to me, when I heard that in the comment, I'm like, oh, mental note. Let's keep an eye on that. Today's January 23rd. Everybody, let's keep a mental note on how things play out, because that might be something that could be a wedge that's behind the scenes that we might find out about.
It's interesting too, because Jim just came off this past year signing an extension with this team. Mm-hmm. So obviously he's going to be here for a while. And so, I mean, how much more can he take of this, where he's coaching his ass off and with the team, with the talent that he has, and we're still in the same spot. We can't win an MLS Cup, even though we've been the golden standard of this league over the past couple of years. Yeah. And the other point is Ernst Tanner. I mean, Ernst Tanner's coming off an offseason last year where, he lost that offseason. It wasn't the typical Ernst Tanner where he's finding diamonds in the rough. And so, like, the start of this offseason, obviously, we had a bunch of players in limbo, the Kai Wagners, Ali Bedoyas, and all that. We're trying to figure out what is going to happen with some of those players. Now that some of that has been kind of answered, and we're still waiting on Ali, which Bogues did drop a little bit of a tidbit there. But, example, Hamid Berdisio. Like, no disrespect to Hamid. And he may turn out to be a really good player.
Yeah, he could.
But in this point in time, where the fan base is at where it's at, it's kind of a hard sell. And so a lot of us want a player like Hamid Berdisio to be a player that's, value that's a little bit more than what he was there. So it kind of just tells you that we're still going to be doing this. We're still going to be trying to find those diamonds in the rough. Obviously, the development, that one of the pillars of the union is developing from within, and that's clearly working. Last year, Harry had a really good season. You saw Jesus Bueno develop into a really good player. Jack McGlynn continues on his development. That's great. Awesome. How are we going to get more players to supplement that as well? And that's where that money topic always is going to come into play, guys.
And you know where else you can make sure to spend your money wisely? That's over at Bagels & Co. At Bagels & Co, they give you Brooklyn-style bagels made right here in Philly in our backyard. And they've got a large variety of bagels. They've got huge fresh bagels that you can always get. 15 different types of bagels, but then also 30 different flavors of cream cheese. So you get variety in the bagels, you get variety in your cream cheese. They've got holiday, seasonal themed. They've got sports-specific ones to Philly sports teams. So lots of options there for you at Bagels & Co. Great prices as well. So not only do you get the convenience of Bagels & Co. being located right here in Philly, you also get the convenience of not having to spend a lot of money for the best. So you can have everything from just a bagel to a breakfast sandwich. They've got a lot of options for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And so head on over for the best Brooklyn-style bagels made right here in Philly to thebagelsandco.com. Find the location nearest you and be able to check out all of the great options that they have at Bagels & Co. that you can make sure to take advantage of. So again, lots of food for cheap, great taste, great variety, and also always providing seasonal or Philly sports team specific types of options with their bagels and cream cheese. And while you're also talking about money, let's talk about Mortgage CS and how much you can make sure to be prepared for your future financial planning. Planning for buying a house is never easy. No matter how old you are, no matter how much money you make, it's always a difficult process. And over at Mortgage CS, which stands for Mortgage Concierge Service, they like to take some of the burden away from that. They want to take that stress away from having to figure it out all on your own. So at Mortgage CS, they are an independent mortgage broker based right here in Philly, but they're also available 24/7 to answer any questions you have, to talk to you, to educate you, to empower you, and make sure that they can help each of their clients find ultra competitive rates. So the best part about Mortgage CS, they want to make sure that they're connecting with you on a personal level. You can reach out to talk about house planning, or you can reach out to talk about when the union will spend money to pay for players to be able to afford to keep up with the rest of the MLS and the soccer world. So over at Mortgage CS, you can contact them via text, via call, via email. Their CEO, Ben and Alec, do a great job of connecting with you. Ben's number, which is right on your screen for those watching live, 267-391-7425. You can also email ben@mortgagecs.com. You can check them out online, mortgagecs.com/PHLY to get started, because over at Mortgage CS, they do a great job with exceptional customer service, helping you to figure out how to work through the process at your best 24/7, giving you an opportunity to plan without the stress for your future home buying option. So again, Mortgage CS, the spot you can check out all of the information, mortgagecs.com/PHLY. And this advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. The company NMLS ID number is 1464766. And again, visit mortgagecs.com for more information. All right, I see in the chat, things are rolling through.
We're cooking.
Always questions about you, Tyler, if you eat the bagels.
What's your bagel order, Tyler?
Oh, that's a good question. Because honestly, I haven't ordered bagels in a long time. I just do like the supermarket bagel. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So like, if I'm getting a bagel, I'm getting a bagel sandwich. Like I'm getting a pork roll, egg and cheese.
Oh yeah,
my favorite.
Or something along those lines. Just no scrapple.
You don't like scrapple?
No scrapple.
Good old PA boy like scrapple?
Disgusting.
The only time I will eat scrapple is if I'm at somebody else's house and they're cooking scrapple. I'm not paying for scrapple, so I'm not buying it from the grocery store, and I'm not buying it at like a diner or a restaurant. If I'm going to sit down to eat breakfast, I am getting pork roll, bacon, or sausage.
Okay.
See, I don't turn down food off like you're talking about if you're at somebody's house.
That's the only reason I would do it.
I'm not turning down food offers very often, but if you say to me, would you like scrapple? The answer is definitively no.
Get that out of my face. When I lived in Philly, shouts to Doin', I'm pretty sure they're still open. I used to do English muffin, scrapple, egg and cheese. That was my go-to. It was like $5. And it kept me full. Because I think it came with like potatoes on the side too.
You put ketchup on it?
Oh yeah.
Ketchup on potatoes on an English muffin.
Home fries? Yeah, I love all that. Yeah. That was good stuff. I love the breakfast sandwiches.
See, I don't mind English muffins, but I know Dan was asking or mentioning that's a quality bagel. I like the fact bagels are fuller, so that's why if I'm getting, I actually got from Bagels & Co. a pork roll and egg sandwich, which was so good because it was so full and it had, I think it was like 3 slices of pork roll and lots of eggs, but it was like a full sandwich that lasted a while, and I don't like my breakfast sandwiches to be like an English McMuffin or croissant or anything. It's not enough for me.
I feel that.
It's just something feels very scarce about the bread. I know we're going down a loophole, a rabbit hole here, but to be honest, I want if I make because I won't even make a breakfast sandwich with white bread.
Okay.
I mean, I know I'm team white bread. I think you guys are wheat bread. But regardless, I don't want a sliced bread. I prefer a bagel. I want a nice full sandwich there.
I think people miss the remember when the union used to give out bimbo bread?
Right.
That's what we all miss here.
Bimbo bread.
Bimbo bread.
Good old bimbo.
Bimbo. My bad.
I know. I mean, bimbo sounds better. It's what you see across the front. Nobody's looking at it oh, bimbo.
Yeah.
It looks like bimbo. But I will it's like if you were eating a burger on white bread versus a roll.
Yeah, no.
I want just the right amount of bread, not too much where it's taking over and I don't get the sausage or the bacon, but yeah. So we will be tasting some food today on the show. That's actually something fun we're going to be doing towards the end of the show. Not a Scrabble, bacon, sausage, or pork roll sandwich, but we've got some treats for the show today because why not? Why not? Yeah. All right, so as we're talking about the last game, all we got into was the money, which in itself took up a lot of time. Let's talk about the actual soccer.
What's up to you?
Here's what stood out. I always find myself watching the Union play an opponent saying, I wish the Union were doing what their opponent is doing to them. Now, again, Flamengo had their guys on the pitch. The Union did not.
So you want a winger who can cut in and score a beautiful curler?
Oh, that goal was beautiful. He got his hips around it, opened up, right foot bent it in the back post. We're not going to talk about the PK or anything because who cares? But actually, even what created the PK was the movement. Yeah. I saw so many times Flamenco's offense had 2 or 3 guys making different runs. One was checking back. One was curling in. One was maybe making a wide looping run. And then I saw on the other side a lot of times, and I understand the Union, it's youth, it's young, it's not as much money on the pitch, whatever you want to say. We're making the same runs of just straight runs. Everybody's running away from the ball. Not a lot of creativity. Mm-hmm. So again, I was like, here we go, 2024, new year, same old stuff of, wow, Flamenco's moving really well. But I'm hoping that with those young guys on the pitch, they were watching, learning, paying attention. I know Jim was mentioning that post game. This is a great chance to learn. They're figuring things out. Okay, let's actually learn. Pay attention to what they're doing, what you like. That second goal, great example. It's a beautiful buildup. And there were some others along the way as well that I was like, that is a great run. Whether it's the middies combining with the forwards, just interchanging, something dynamic. And when I used to coach soccer, I used to always tell my team that. I'm like, here I am still saying the same thing about the pros. Make dynamic runs. That's how soccer is supposed to be played. It's not a track meet with everybody just running away. They literally were hitting different lanes so that the player on the ball had options. But I did like defensively how the Union, it's actually a double-edged sword, so I don't know if I liked it a lot. So the Union were getting caught defensively a number of times. Yeah. Now, this is why the offside call happened. Mm-hmm. Not marking up well, players getting in behind, 2 and 3 guys running on at goal in a good scoring position where they just kind of missed. So I didn't love the fact that the Union were not doing a good job tracking back with their help defense in general of, pressure cover and not leaving players open. But they hustled. But I like how they hustled, and we saw players sliding to make blocks and sliding to keep them from scoring. And so at least they didn't give up on the play. There was my positive. It was buried, but there it was. They were hustling back after they were leaving guys wide open.
Yeah, that was one of the positives. I did like the build-up play, especially on the counterattack. You can clear, and there was a lot of younger players. So
right, so that makes sense to me.
Saw a lot of the athletic ability there, but that's really where their bread and butter. But just like last year's Union team, they struggled in the final third. But it was a solid Flamenco squad, like we mentioned there. I think for me, what I really wanted to watch was some of the new players, and we got to see how many Berdicio start here in the starting lineup. Did kind of play at that right back spot. we talked about, because he seems like a versatile player. He came in here with different positions that he's played in Bolivia. So was looking to see where he would play. I don't necessarily want to see him play at that right back position. And he looks pretty strong and built for his age. Like, he's 21. He's still really young. Still obviously a lot of room for growth for his body. But I would like to see him more at that midfield. And we saw a couple instances where him and Quinn were kind of playing off of each other in the outlet. It did not seem like they were on the same page a lot, which is understandable. This kid just arrived here a couple days ago, but that was really one of the takeaways here. But there's just a lot of growing pains. There was the on that panel on the Everton goal. I mean, Makahanya probably gave Everton a little bit too much space. That wasn't Makahanya's assignment there, but you gotta help Berisha, who missed out on Everton. So you saw little mistakes here and there from the young players, but yeah, they're gonna go look at the tape. They're gonna learn from it. I think this is very valuable for a lot of these young players. We don't know what the depth's gonna look like exactly. You may have to rely on some of those young players as well. I think the expectation was we were expecting for the veteran players, Gadzag, Carranza, and Ua, to play in this game. That's why they probably scheduled this, because I think this is a perfect example. Because when you move on, if you do move on, knock on wood, in CCC. Those Mexican teams play with a lot of speed, similar to how Flamenco plays. And that's why I love that friendly there, because I think it's a great preparation if you happen to move on. And Sapri's not going to be easy. It's not going to be the same Saprissa team from 21. This is a team that I think they just came off of the treble, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
they won some championships, though. But I think this was a great test here. And I think we got some learning curves in it as well.
Yeah, I know Dan in the chat is mentioning a couple things about the midfield, the starting middies being Bueno and McGlynn, and then also the odds that Jack McGlynn makes it through the season before being sold. The term sold always makes me chuckle, but that's essentially what's happening. Listen, this past scrimmage, and I know, of course, there's another game today against Austin FC. We did get to see, as you mentioned, that young talent come in. Neil Pierre on the back line, 16 years old on the back line. You got to see Trent Holden Trent in net. We got to see different players. I thought Quinn Sullivan, and I know Jim mentioned this as well, Quinn Sullivan played well, but I always feel like Quinn Sullivan plays well, in my opinion. He plays aggressive. He tries things. He's creative. He's not always the most talented, but he's usually one of the hardest working players on the field. And that's why his game, to me, he's got a lot of upswing, because he's going to always be out there giving 110%. He's not going to the motions. He's not going to he just tries things. So I like Quinn Sullivan's game, and I hope this year is that progression for him. Oh, yeah. But as we know, these are a lot of Union 2 guys and Academy guys and new players that are just getting signed. And this is the highest level they've played at, as Jim was mentioning. And you can see where some of those errors are exactly that. It's the youth. It's the inexperience. You're outmatched, to be honest. For some of these players, you're just outmatched. But I will say, I do think and hope, again, they learn from this, but B, that with 4 preseason games left, I would like to see the Union closer to 100% in terms of who's on the field, because this is the time to try things. And the reason I bring that up, and I hate to bring this part up, I remember saying the same thing with the Eagles back in preseason, and I'm not saying the reason why the Eagles had such a awful end to their season was because of the fact they didn't have their, QB. You didn't have Jalen Hurts out there. You didn't have your first string guys in preseason. But there is value to preseason games. You don't have to play them the entire game. They can play the first half. Then they're done the second half, and maybe on the second half you're mixing in those younger players. But you need to give these players meaningful minutes together in a meaningless game. So a preseason game is supposed to be that. It's not just about seeing how the younger players step up. It's also about seeing, okay, it's been a little over a month since we last played in the playoff game. Let's get back out there, refreshed. Obviously, there's no Ali Bedoya, so even the team itself is different. Let's get back out there. Let's start from scratch, new season, and work on how we play as a team. Yeah. So with 4 matches left, I want to see them at least by the last 2 matches. We need to see their starting 11 be more of the starting 11. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. And the Birds, part of why Sirianni does that, because at the beginning of the year, it doesn't really matter if you lose a game or 2, because you have
but it does matter when you start the season off flat, like the Eagles actually did, despite being 10-1. They, to me, never got going this season. And so I agree with you, but I disagree, because it does, like, once you get to games and you have to win and it counts, that's not the time to be working on things week after week after week.
The importance of why the Union need to play, though, is because they actually have important matches literally in less than a month here.
That
like
part.
We start with CCC. Like that's a tournament that, it's winner go, well, not winner go home now, but obviously we got the aggregate, but it's an important match. So that's why you have to, I agree with you. You have 4 more matches. We're going to start getting slowly some players here that are going to be arriving into Clearwater. And with these 4 matches, you got to get these guys ready and get ready for Saprissa going down there into San Jose, Costa Rica. But one way you guys can get ready for games, last I heard there was a guy for the Sixers scored 70 points, if I'm not mistaken. So
big old 70.
Big old 70. So everyone's excited about the Sixers. Everyone's excited about the Flyers. And you guys can too with our sponsor here today in the Game Time app. It is the #1 spot to get all of your tickets for concerts, sporting events, you name it. Stress is no longer a thing when it comes to buy tickets with Game Time app. Download the free app, and with your first purchase over at the Game Time app, you will get $20 off when you use the promo code PHLY. So download the free app right now. Use the promo code on the screen for your first purchase, PHLY. The season for the Union is also starting soon, so maybe you can start looking at some of those tickets with the Game Time app. Again, Game Time app, promo code PHLY, $20 off your first purchase. Thank you to our friends over at the Game Time app.
Yes. Well, I know Jill is saying the same in the chat about Quinn Sullivan. Definitely love his aggressiveness. I love your point there. Love his aggressiveness, and I'm hoping this is a big year.
That's all it is.
Yeah, and you know what? I like him in the midfield because players that have that engine that just like to go sometimes do best in the attacking midfield role because there's no restrictions.
Yeah.
At striker, especially with your back to goal, it's a whole different game in how you view it. So when you're always checking back or having to turn on defenders versus you can just be free flowing and moving all over the place, it makes a huge difference in how you play. That's why I used to like being an attacking midfielder because there are no rules. You just go wherever you want to go. You just float around the field. You find the ball. You pick and choose your spots. So honestly, Quinn Sullivan, more than Daniel Gadzag, he's active in that spot. He wants the ball. He wants to get involved. He's aggressive. He works hard. I don't mind him in the midfield.
And I would make the argument like his style of play doesn't technically fit this team, but Quinn hasn't even made that excuse. He's put in the work and he's tried to find a way to fit in this with this team. I personally like him more up top, whether it be as a 10 or whether it be as a forward. Preferably, I like him as one of those forwards. And I like him with some freedom because when he does play with freedom, he just reacts. And you can see some beautiful things. Bicycle kick back in 21 against Chicago.
Gosh.
Like, we want to see some more of that.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that when he's up top, he absolutely is very active.
Yeah.
And
he likes to play with the ball at his feet too. You know, he'll put in the work with the off ball runs, but I mean when he's in that box especially, he wants to put the ball in that, and he just has to find a way to be more consistent at that in 24. Because if he does that, I mean, listen, Taiwo Rebo has something to prove this year. He could be playing himself as that third forward here.
For sure. Well, today is game day. The Union are taking on Austin FC. The second preseason friendly kicks off today. Of course, as we mentioned with that 6:30 kickoff, we will not be able to watch the game live, but we can live blog the game and follow the live blogging of the game, I should say. So they'll be back at Al Lang Stadium. And now it'll be interesting to see. I mean, listen, Austin FC, great team, another great opportunity to work on some things. It's a quick turnaround. It's another chance to see what these youngsters can do. Of course, we know Daniel Gadzag. Actually, Jose was the one that I first saw the initial reports from. I haven't seen anything else come out since. So I'm still hoping and waiting for the other details on Daniel Gadzag. But we are seeing Union players get back. Jose Martinez was out there. Jose Martinez, I should say. I'm throwing punches for those that are listening on podcast. El Brujo was out there for sure, but we're seeing players. They're getting back on the pitch. They're back in Florida, and we're slowly getting back to seeing the team fully.
I wonder if when Sergio Santos was with the Union, because I knew that him and El Brujo were close, but like El Brujo now has like turned to Sergio with the hairstyles. Every season a new hairstyle. He rocked the dreads on Sunday. I loved it. I loved it for him. Well, obviously, when you get like the dreads at first, like you go through that awkward stage, but I think he's going to look good in those dreads. I like the dreads for him. And just seeing El Brujo going at it, like he was in mid-season form, it was so fun. It's like, I don't think anyone told him like it was preseason. I think everyone was like, yeah, this is CCC. So or probably told like, no, we're actually in Libertadores, so we need to win this one.
Listen, I like the fact he's not looking at it as a preseason game. Some players go into maybe a preseason game more lax, and it's just kind of, you're like, oh, it's just preseason. That's how players get hurt. But I like the fact that, listen, he was out there doing his usual, sneaking some swings in, sneaking some kicks, headbutting. It's El Brujo. And it's preseason or not, it's a game. There's officials. The whistle has blown. It's game time. And he absolutely was looking like he's in midseason 4.
I don't know if he learned something from Travis Konechny out there, but Brujo does like to... It does like to start stuff.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Gadzag is back. That's confirmed.
Yes.
Ura, we got to wait to see what we got for that one, but he's not in Clearwater right now. But Gadzag is. So maybe Gadzag plays today. We'll see. Maybe,
yeah, exactly.
Not the next one.
Exactly. I feel like he definitely won't. But at least he's back training with the team, and even if he's there just to warm up and watch, maybe gets a couple minutes, who knows, but we won't know actually until the live blog updates us on what's happening, because we won't be able to see. That's one of those things you'd love to be able to see. Is he on the sideline dressed? Is he warming up? Is he cheering and into it? Is he maybe just back in the hotel or whatever? But I'm assuming he'll be there, just probably not playing.
So from my understanding, his delay from coming back is due to green card.
Right.
Situation. So if he's back, that had to have been settled. So does that Sheffield Wednesday rumor now get put to rest?
Oh, I don't know, Sheffield Wednesday. I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see.
I would love to see him play. I know, Jose, you're mentioning it here. I saw you tweet the same thing, that he will not play tonight. I actually would love to see him play tonight. It's not like he was injured. Injury is the only time that you really see guys ease back in. But being that they've all been playing. Yeah, I'd like to see him get some minutes.
Yeah.
Get a warm up in, get some minutes. I would not expect him to log heavy minutes and wouldn't want him to. But I think with only 4 preseason games left, and as we talk about the importance with game 1 being a meaningful game, get Gadzag out there. If I'm Jim, I'm giving him like 10, 15 minutes, even if it's just that, to get him a run out there with everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. There's a lot of eyes this year on Gadzag and Ua because of the seasons they had last year. They both took regressions. And, for Gadzag, this season, we have to prove that you can create consistently for others, not just scoring from the PK spot. I think that, you keep hearing the criticisms about that. And I know Gadzag can do that, but it has to be on a consistent basis. And obviously, we know the amount of matches was not conducive for anyone.
No.
But the excuses cannot be there this year. So it's going to be a big year for Gadzag for sure. So we want to see them as soon as possible, both him and Ua.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to getting to just see more and getting more updates. Of course, the main updates right now we get, thanks to the MLS, are all Inter Miami. Sad news though, as we watched and I knew it, I could tell right away. I was hoping it wasn't the case. Facundo Farias, who out with an ACL tear in his left knee. That was heartbreaking, because as much as we talk about preseason being that opportunity to be ready to play, it also can, unfortunately, be the time where we see those season-ending or major injuries happen, because it's so quick that players aren't getting a chance to. I mean, they just went down to Clearwater last week, and you're already here. You are weekend. You've got scrimmages. It's a lot happening very quickly on top of a season where you already have, in the course of your schedule, so many additional games. You don't get a full 3, 4, 5 months to rest. You're jumping right back into it a couple months later. And not that something like an ACL can happen anytime. You can tear your ACL walking down the street, but it does increase the likelihood of injuries when you have that quick turnaround. So that's where, for coaches, you're managing it. You're trying to give your guys minutes, but make sure you're not overextending them too soon. And but that was heartbreaking to see, because you never want to see that.
And from my understanding, Miami's doing some serious traveling too.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Yeah,
they're all over the place. And that right now, it's just the Inter Miami preseason. There's no other team. There's no other MLS team right now, because all you're getting is Inter Miami.
Yeah.
All their updates, all the walk-ups, all the tunnel shots, and I'm seeing plenty of video of them. I've seen lots of video. I saw him go down with the ACL. I mean, I've seen the replay of that too.
So whatever team,
but nothing with anybody else.
So whatever team they played against Salvador, I don't know if you saw the clips, but the bus arrives and all you see is just pink shirts.
Pink everywhere.
Not even I don't even know what the colors of the other team was, but all you saw was pink and black for Messi and his bus. I mean, it is absolutely crazy. I mean, like, this is a tough part that you're gonna have to ask yourself, especially when you have a player the caliber of Messi, because look, now you're popular. You know, every team in the world wants to play in a scrimmage or a matchup may count as something. So if for Miami, you do have to consider that in the future here. That's a big loss. That was a player, you know, they weren't even just counting on for this year, but for the future.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one for them.
Definitely tough. That is, as we talked about last week with our guests in Ben and Meg, what can equalize a team, because no matter how much money you spend, that doesn't make anybody invincible and above injuries. Now, I'm not wishing injuries on anybody, but I'm saying in sports, it happens. It's a very long season. Someone is going to get injured or even just be banged up or deal with those lingering, nagging injuries. That happens. So ultimately, it does become a survival of the fittest in more ways than one. And so for that reason, I'm hoping that there's some seasons I feel like where you see more prevalent major season ending injuries. I feel like the NFL this year was one of those years.
Yeah.
Where you got a lot of like quarterbacks that were out for the year, shoulders and concussions and all types of stuff that was happening, Achilles. So hopefully that's not the case this year for the MLS. But we did get JP some other updates again ahead of the game today, which we're looking forward to getting the live blog about and the live updates for. We also I saw a blurb that one of the newsletters I'm subscribed to is putting out about the CONCACAF Champions Cup teams, the different MLS teams that are preparing for that, because as we know, what used to be known as the CCL, has games kicking off very soon. So they were writing about the 27 teams that will compete in the tournament. 5 teams get a pass to the round of 16. Each round, of course, we know, with 2 legs until the final on June 2nd. More games. June 2nd is wild to think about. Wow. That all those games are happening before June 2nd. So with that, they were talking about the 10 MLS teams that are involved in all of play. The Union had a nice little blurb. This is what they wrote about the Union. The Union are the Union. What a line to start with. The Union are the Union. They haven't changed much from last year's group.
You paid to write that story? You made money for that?
Yeah,
damn, I
right?
could have done that for free.
This just in, the Union are the Union.
That made me laugh. The Union are the Union. They haven't changed much from last year's group and even found a way to lock down fullback Kai Wagner for the next few years. They've earned more points than any other team in MLS over the last 5 years, and that rightfully earns them the benefit of the doubt in almost every scenario. That group has come up short when trophies have been on the line, though. It's tough to envision them breaking through the wall at this point, but they did luck into the single easiest path of any MLS team in this competition. Damn. The Union side of the bracket includes the 2 weakest Liga MX sides of the bunch, Pachuca and Toluca. Pachuca was finished 11th in Liga MX at Apertura, and Toluca, which finished 12th. And the Union wouldn't have to worry about Club America or Chivas until the semifinals. So I read that and I was like, okay. Not them lucking into the single easiest path of any MLS team. It was a kind of harsh little blurb. It should have stopped after the Union are the Union, and I shouldn't have read any more. But it was accurate. It was the harsh reality of where the Union are.
Yeah, I mean, so we get here. We only get this spot because we finished 3rd in the league. So I guess that's why we get the easy route that we do have here. But I mean, I think everyone knows what to expect here from the Union, especially now that we've been in Champions League / Cup for 2 of the last 4 years. Teams now kind of know what it is. It's going to be a team that's going to play physical. We've seen that countless times, especially in Champions League. They're going to expect a high press. So I think these teams in Central America and Mexico and the Caribbean will know what to expect here from Philly. A lot of young players too, and the Union way has been well known, and I think a lot of teams around the world are also following in that footprint as well. But I'm excited for Champions Cup. It's a tournament that's I think it's extremely important. I know it's tough to kind of explain to like the American audience who are just getting in MLS,
right?
But it is a very big deal. I mean, being the king of your continent, it means everything. I mean, you ask a European fan, they would rather win Champions League over the Premier League because you're being the king of the continent is cool. You're king of the hill.
Exactly. And what's up, Trav man, Renee? Hey. Nice to see you guys here. Listen, there is definitely incentive to just win hardware. The Union, and as this blurb is mentioning, have fallen short. They've been, looking back, Supporters Shield, MLS Cup, they've been close, but they haven't won the big hardware for anything. And not just, of course, the MLS title. But they've come so close every time, and that in itself has to be frustrating.
Yeah.
And you'd like to see them take that next step of winning some hardware. And then you see a team like Inter Miami when they bring in Messi and they win every hardware possible. It makes it frustrating because the Union have been here in the trenches, putting in the work, but haven't been able to win any hardware. So
2 appearances, 2 semifinals as well. You lose to some really good teams, Club America, LAFC. The LAFC one obviously stings a little bit more. But that's where we're at. We're so close. It was like the same conversation with US Open Cup. We went to so many finals in the 2010s. And we just couldn't do it.
Because you go the distance, you play. That means you're playing
so
extra
hard.
games. Once you get past the group stage and you're playing into semis and things like that, you're playing more soccer.
Yep.
Only to lose. I know Travis saying that Travis like, I feel like they should put all their effort into the tournament instead of just making semifinals over and over again. Yeah, I mean, for CONCACAF specifically, go all in. Maybe that and I know they talked about that last year. We heard in the postseason pressers about the discussion of prioritizing some matches and some games. So I'm intrigued.
It gets
to
tough
see
though,
what that looks like.
Even you look at last year, right? You did prioritize Champions
Mm-hmm.
League, and then what happened was in the MLS regular season, you started falling apart. I think we went on like a 10-game streak where we didn't have a point. I forget. It was some streak like that.
Bad.
And then at that point, you're like, well, we can't keep dropping. We need some
Mm-hmm.
points. So it's so tough. You can prioritize, but then when you're dropping too far in the league, you don't want to have to climb a huge ladder, especially with some of the teams that we have in the East this year.
Yeah, and that's where it's like, tough. I know Dan's bringing up the Supporters Shield and MLS Cup. You have to look at all the possible hardware, put it on the table. The Union are in the conversation and could win something. But it is tough because, as you mentioned, you can't have a drop-off and now you're bottom of the standings in the MLS either. So it's a lot. It's just a lot going on. But that is why I'm hoping we're going to get some sort of an addition, just something, some addition to this roster or
That's
two.
gonna be big.
That is a bigger name. We've added around the edges, which is something I'm always saying now. They've added some pieces. They've added some youth and some guys that have potential and can develop. Can the Union add someone to this roster that makes an impact now to be able to help them through the longevity of the season? That is what we need to have happen, because that, I think, will give everybody, the players included, more optimism, more hope, versus just running it back with the same roster and adding some homegrowns and some young talent and hoping things are magically going to be better when you're competing against teams that are spending millions of dollars.
Yeah. And to Dan's point, it's about prioritizing the CCC and the league. Remember, early parts of the year, we have that tough part of the schedule where March 16th through March 6th, you have the Western Conference there, Austin, Portland, Minnesota, Nashville. Like, that's just to start the season. It's going to be difficult here. And so you may have to run at that same topic of conversation. How do we prioritize both? And then later on in the year, you're going to have US Open Cup, Leagues Cup in August, as we know. You know what you're going into, like you said. The depth is going to be in question here again, unfortunately. So it's going to be an interesting start here to the season.
Not to mention the Union, much like the MLS as a whole, with all the restrictions around rosters and stuff like that, that also puts them at a disadvantage, because I know, as we're mentioning between the comments in the chat with Dan and Travman, you can't realistically be good at all of that unless you are able to build out your roster to have the financial backing and the roster space to be able to put out a team that has, as we've always talked about, depth. But also your depth has to be players that are like, your top 15, 16 players need to be interchangeable, where you don't have a definitive top 8 and then there's a drop off. It needs to be where on any given day we can start any of these players and we won't miss a beat. And the Union are not at that, as we saw evidently against Flamengo. The Union are not there. And I don't know if they will get there. I don't know, guys.
And you know what Renee does not want to hear is, if you lose in some finals again, we don't want to hear about how much money their team's roster is.
I don't.
We don't want to hear any of that.
I'm over that. Thank you for clarifying that. Yesterday's excuses cannot be today's excuses. The excuses of a lot of games, tired. We already said that last year.
That can't happen this year.
The excuses of, the Union don't have, let's look at the salaries of all the players. The Union pay less for the guys in the, not an excuse, because you've had chances to go on out and pay. What else are we ixnaying off the list this year?
I mean,
depth.
Depth, money. That's typically the two big ones that everyone just continues to bring up there. And at some point, you know what's crazy too? like if you're Carranza, Blake, you've talked about the amount of matches. And the thing is the MLS is going to do what they want to do. Like you can't really control that. But what these teams can control is the depth and the talent level that this team does have, so you don't have to run into those issues. Would some of these players get upset at that point? Like,
Right.
I'm busting my hump. I'm Julian Carranza. I'm busting my hump for this team. And you don't want to spend extra money to help with a supplement for me or for my other mates here? Like, I would be pissed as well.
You want it. That's why I feel like Jim's comment to circle all this back to what we started with. Jim's comment to just casually drop in Flamengo having $200 million on the field, to me is a sign that there still is some frustration because it's the exact same group. It's the exact same story. New Year, same story. And you're not investing in the union. How are you expecting a better product if you won't invest in your guys? What is that? Like you said, what message does that send to these guys? Someone like Andre Blake, I just feel for. Yeah. What message does that send to these guys that are out there working hard, trying to do everything they can to get better if they're not getting that support from Ernst Tanner and the union, and we're not seeing any moves being made? That's got to be frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, Ali may be coming back. Tom did drop the tidbit here. We're getting closer. It's like every time we hear Tom or we hear about this news, we're getting closer. But from what I understood from Tom is like there's language in the contract that they just need to clarify. Yeah. So Renee, I just wanted to throw this at you. So when I heard that from Tom, I was wondering, so could we have like a player coach? Like, I wonder if like the language is Ali wants to be a coach. Like everyone's dream has been Ali one point taking over for Jim as the head guy. And I mean, like, if you watch Ali play out there, like he's a coach out in the midfield. Like it feels like his calling after his playing days is as a manager. So could we be signing some type of deal where, hey, okay, you'll be involved with the managing and the coaching, and eventually you can become be a coach for you too, eventually with the senior team. I wonder if that's the language that's being discussed here.
As you mentioned, so Tom Bogert did come out saying that Ali Bedoya is very close to a Philly return. In quotes, very close to Philly return, but nothing finalized or signed. I feel like he could be a player coach in the sense of be a player that is a leader and a coach for the team. You probably aren't playing and starting the same minutes, which he shouldn't. He's in his career at this point, he's not a 90-minute player. He's not a starter. But you're going to be a voice for us. And you're going to be that bridge between the coaching staff and the team to help provide the leadership, the stability, the depth as a player that can come off the bench and assist. So I hope I would be fine with that. I think that it is needed. And I hope that we can get an agreement for Ali.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. I just wonder because like when I hear language, I'm wondering like what language could you be talking about? I mean, obviously like you said, we don't expect Ali to get a lot of minutes this year. Is that the language? But yeah, I do think that is obviously going to happen here if Tom's reporting that. I mean, I just think it's just delayed here. And of course, it's the union. It wouldn't be a union. It wouldn't be a union negotiation if there was some type of delay. So we'll have to wait and see about that.
Well, as we get ready to wrap up and get ready for game day, of course, we saw Jack McGlynn doing well. Nate Harrell did not get any minutes with the U.S. men's national team, but Jack did. Also got some nice highlight clips of him out there.
How did Shaq Moore get the star over Nate? Do we have to call Carranza to take care of this? Like, how did that even happen?
Something they're seeing in training. Jill, you were talking about Ali. Ali doesn't seem like he wants to coach. He actually said on the show with me that he doesn't want to coach.
Oh, really? Okay.
I remember asking about his future after playing. He was like, he doesn't really want to coach. He's like, maybe his kids. But he said, to be honest, not them either, because he wants them to just be able to kind of do their thing. And
imagine Ali just yelling at players.
I know, right?
What are you doing?
But he doesn't give me the vibe of wanting to coach, but I could see him wanting to be, just like I said, the voice in the locker room that's still playing.
That was the childhood me saying that, guys. My bad.
No, but it's a fair point that you bring up. So with that, as we mentioned, Jack did get some minutes off of the bench, got some good touches in there, saw some encouraging things. Hopefully he can continue to earn more playing time. We'll have to talk. So we're going to be putting out something on social media for you guys soon. So stay tuned. I'm not going to tell you when, but soon, where we'll drop our list of top ever Philadelphia Union players. We broke it down on our show last week where we brainstormed and came up with some names, 31 names to be exact, of the best ever players to wear a Union kit that are not just actively playing, but also retired players, because we're eventually going to come up with our best 11 all-time Union team. And that could have a best 11 of current team too. So anyways, we're going to have our best 11. And so stay tuned. We'll be tweeting that out and giving more information. We are waiting for the kit drop, as we all are, as well as some details on theme nights. I know theme nights have been released for the Phillies, and we're waiting for the Union because they have games coming up very soon.
We do have games coming up very soon. So I wanted to bring this topic up, and I do want Tyler to participate in this one as well. So I don't know, this whole entire city has finally been captivated with Wings Lacrosse.
Yes.
And it's because they have I think it's a great idea for a theme night. They're doing emo night. So emo music, it's going to be the theme of the night. So I kind of wanted to bring it up to you guys. Is there a theme night that hasn't been done that you want to see done with one of our Philly sports teams?
90 sitcom.
90 sitcoms, okay.
I don't know if that's a thing. I feel like I haven't seen it. But like something where you dress, not 90s night. That's a totally different thing.
Okay.
Because I know that's already happened, like retro night, 90s, not a 90s night, but like in general, a movie themed night. Okay. It could be Star Wars for like May 4th. It could be whatever. It could be anything. I think some sort of old school movie theme night.
Okay.
That's the first thing that came to mind.
See, it's funny you bring up the emo night because first of all, that tugs on my heartstrings. But I'm driving down 95 yesterday and I see the billboard for emo night. And I thought, because it's the billboard that's right over the Fillmore, you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, that makes a ton of sense. The Fillmore is a venue that hosts a lot of emo, hardcore, post-hardcore type bands, right? And then at the bottom it says like Wings Lacrosse, and I'm like, dear, I'm the target audience now? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
we are.
That's the, like, throwback nights are me now? What is that? Am I old? And it made me really, really old really, really fast because I remember like going to games, different games growing up, and they'd be like 70s night, and I'd be like, Dad, that's your generation.
Right, that's us now.
And now I'm like, wait a minute, hold on.
When they say throwback or retro night, it's literally us. And I do want to clarify, the Union did come out with their 13 theme nights. They did. 13 seems a little bit low though, so that's partly where we kind of were like, okay, they're missing some. So they have everything from esports night to Greener Goals night, Kids Day, the alumni day where former Philadelphia Union players are coming out. They've got their pride night and military appreciation night. It's a lot of good stuff. Hispanic Heritage Night, but we're missing some. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm obviously gonna go selfish with this one. I'm obviously gonna go with the reggaeton night because I think that reggaeton is the best party music and dancing music out there, and I think that Philadelphia could use a little bit of that. I try to bring in my content as well, but I think it would be a lot of fun going old school, some Daddy Yankee, some Wisin Yandel to the new school, some Bad Bunny, some Ozuna.
I like it. I know Travman said Halloween night. That's a good one too.
That's always fun. Yeah,
Halloween's tricky. It's for kids specifically. But if you're bringing your kids to Halloween night, you should know if your kids can handle seeing people in costumes or not.
I'm so jealous those people are so creative with Halloween costumes.
Oh, I know. I'm never creative.
How did you think?
I used to be. I feel like lately I'm not.
Bushman from 2021. That was great. That guy was gonna live in infamy. Yes, absolutely.
Good times.
Yeah, throw your theme nights, guys. What do you want out there for a theme night? And I'm sorry, Tyler. We're getting old, buddy, but we're aging like wine, man.
No, you might be. I woke up today and I said my back hurts because I slept wrong.
As you're aging, one thing that can drastically help you when you're aging is to eat healthier. So we got to talking last show. This will be our last thing as we wrap up. We got to talking last show about fruits because I still don't know why we actually got to talking about fruit. But
it's PHLY Union. Why do
like we were just casually talking like off the air about fruit. And I found out that these guys, and I'm pointing at Tyler over here and JP over here, do not know, or I'm sorry, have never eaten brown pears. Brown pears, in my opinion, are an underrated fruit. Easily top 3. Like mangoes, pears, seasonal watermelon that's juicy. Like there's some really good fruit. But brown pears give you the best combination of sweetness, juicy, not, the texture's right. It's awesome. So I told them I would bring them brown pears. I actually planned to bring brown pears in on Thursday, but JP already went out and found some great brown pears for us to nibble on. So JP and Tyler, I already had them, but I selfishly like to eat them. But I have brown pears at home, so I'm not going to eat your brown pears. you can have them because you're going to love them and you're going to want more. Have you guys had brown pears or is it just me? Green pears are very good, but green pears are nowhere near the, like, look at the shape of it, the texture of it. Tyler, we need to get you a pear, so I'm just going to pass
You can just bring the bag across. It doesn't matter. I'm right here.
Deliver.
Well, first off, I can already tell the skin feels a little bit different than the green pear.
Ouch, I shocked myself.
But we're going to go ahead and give this a shot. Cheers, Tyler.
I'm so excited for this. I've been selfishly promoting, right? Listen to that. I heard the crunch.
It's crispier, much crispier.
It's so much crispier than a green pear.
Let's go.
But some green pears are like when you bite it, the skin's not as good. There's something weird about the texture of the skin.
I think the taste is similar, just the texture is different.
But that makes a huge difference. Because it's Tyler's going in, although you didn't eat lunch, so I don't know if that's, What do you think, Tyler?
It's probably be great for a salad.
What? It's a grapefruit?
No, great for a salad.
That's actually really good. Yeah, I've never had a brown pear. They've only ever had green pears, but this is really solid.
Really good. Really good. I told you guys. We are now the green cursor. Listen, it was after Thursday's show. For context, there is a connection here. Thursday's show, we were just sitting here talking about food or whatever, and went down a rabbit hole of talking about fruit. And I was like, oh, brown pears are secretly one of my favorite fruits. And they were like, I've never had a brown pear before. There's brown pears. So I had to first show them on Google what brown pears look like. But there's so much, the texture makes a huge difference.
We thought it was a hoax, guys, but it's real and it's
really
good.
It's kind of like, for anybody that's never had them, because clearly I've actually had a few conversations since then, and I've found out a lot of people haven't. Clearly different fruits, depending on how ripe they are and stuff, they taste different. And we're gonna be done soon. So this is not turning into a food show, but it could. Red apples, yellow apples, green apples, 3 completely different tastes. Then red apples have like Red Delicious apples, Granny Smith apples. Like there's all different types of apples. It's the same thing with pears. So if you guys have never tried green pears, please go. This is not an ad. This is me helping you out. Especially if you're like I love fresh fruit and vegetables, but green pears, so good.
That was good stuff, guys.
So good.
I recommend
I'm sorry, brown pears. Green pears are good also, but brown pears, excuse me, very, very good. So there you go, guys. Just talk to something new.
Before we sign off, because I highly agree with Jill's comment. Selfishly, we need a teacher's night.
Oh, a teacher's night would be awesome. With school-themed giveaways, I love that idea. Especially with the soccer season overlapping the end of the school year or the start of the school year. You could do a back-to-school night
Jill,
where it's teachers' appreciation.
You got our support here.
As a person, my mom is a teacher, or she just retired, but she was a teacher. So I'm always rooting for teachers because they're essential.
Don't get paid enough either.
Nope.
No.
All right. So, okay, Tyler demolished the pear. I just heard it hit the trash can.
It's gone. It was delicious.
And you know what I like about brown pears is my last thing? You can almost eat the entire thing. There are some fruits I can't stand where the...
It's also not like there's no remnants like stuck in my teeth. Like, you know what I mean? Like where you're picking out the pieces of like the fruit's flesh for like an hour.
Such a pet peeve.
My mouth feels clean and it was good.
And you literally can eat like the bottom of that. You can eat it all the way down except for like the stem, and there's sometimes a couple seeds in there. But when I get fruit, I want to eat the whole fruit. I don't want to have to deal with the middle of the whatever. What is it called?
The core?
The core thing?
The pit?
The pit. I was going to say pulp, but I knew that was not the word I was thinking of. I don't want to have this huge pit like some fruits do. So yeah, brown pears for the win. Hopefully the Philadelphia Union will get the win also. Let's hope it's a brown pear day for the Union and not a green pear day.
I'm here for it.
All right, awesome. So if the Union win, Renee, you have to tweet out brown pear emoji. And if they lose, it's green pear. And since we can't see the game anyway, you're going to be like, yeah, well, no, that's how you know.
That's how you guys
it's
will
like
know
one if by land, 2 if by sea. 1 if by pear, 2 if by pear.
I cannot.
I love it.
All right, Paul Revere. So listen. It's like the warning of the pears instead. Did you get that? No.
Yes, that was the point of the joke. Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if we were still on the same page.
Yeah, no, we were still there.
It's getting along here. All right. Well, that's it for us here on PHLY Union Podcast. We ended with Paul Revere and pears. There you go. There's our P's for the day. Our P. Oh, that's kind of cool. P's for the day, for the game day. So hopefully the Union have a great game today. We'll be following with the live blog For those of you guys, Jillian, Travman, Dan, Jose, Kyle, Will, everybody that's tuned in
Thanks,
today, we
guys.
appreciate all of you guys. Always hit that thumbs up button, and we'll be back on Thursday with more. 3:30, we'll be going live,
Don't
talking
miss
more
it.
Union, recapping the game today, looking ahead to the next one, because plenty to dive into. Hopefully, we'll get some more updates. Hopefully, I like having some fruit on the food on the show.
I love it too.
You know, maybe every day we just bring a different food.
Let's do it.
I'm bringing a whole watermelon in, unsliced.
Honestly, though,
We slice it right here.
something about slicing into a whole watermelon.
Can you core a pineapple? Do you know how to do that? Because
No, I do not.
I haven't figured that
But
out.
we can practice and learn here. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Let's go Union! Game day!
Dude.